And so Pramata has issue when? Pramata has issue while interacting with the waking world, Prameya. So Pramata Prameya interaction creates all problems, fear and whatnot. And therefore, basically, this Pramata has an issue, not the Turiya. Sarva dukkhanam nivrittehe turiyaha, nivritti hetoho. Turiya is basically free from, of the nature of, free from the sorrow. And therefore he is what? Ishana. He is a master. We'll see the meaning later also. Prabhu, capable of being free from all this adhyasa. So actually Ishanaha and Prabhu, both words are there. So we will have to give a little different meaning, we will give. So Ishanaha, Prabhu, etc. Turiya is basically is a master. He is a Prabhu who is capable of being free, capable of making samsari free from dukkha. Because it itself is free from dukkha, it can make the samsari free from dukkha if samsari knows Turiya, that I am a Turiya. That way it is a difference here. Because Turiya is adhisthana. And adhisthana is always a master. Adhyaropa can never be away from the adhisthana. Adhisthana is independent. Adhyaropa is never independent. What is independent is a master. Therefore, Prabhu or Ishana, etc. So, Sarvabhavanam, and then it says Sarvabhavanam, we have to supply Mithyatvat Advaita. So, all the previous ones that Waker, Dreamer, etc. are Mithya. Vishwataijasa Prajna are Mithya. Mithya means what? Anirvachaniya. Yeah. Mithya means what? Glory. Glory of the Creator, glory of Isha, Ishvara, you can say. This Vishwa is a glory of Ishvara. Taijasa is a glory of Ishvara. Basically, no jiva has created that. All these are the obtained within the orders, right? Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna, Waker, waking world, and all this is just order. This is, in fact, Ishvara has not created anything. All that is there is Ishvara. In that case, he has not created anything. But even if you want to say Ishvara is a creator of this Jagat and everything, Ishvara is a creator of a magical world, and therefore it is world of what making. Waking world also is a magic. The waker also is equally magic. Magic. It's just a magic which you cannot deny it, which you cannot prove. It is true. Factually it is not there. Experientially it is there. Therefore it is sadasadbhyam. Experientially it is there. Therefore sat. If you analyze, you try to find the fact of it, but the truth of it you don't find at all. You don't find at all. It whole thing goes away. Therefore it is asat also that way. Sad asadbhyam anirvachaniyam. You cannot call it existent, you cannot call non-existent. This is how the world is, just a magic. So anyway, and therefore waker, dreamer, everything is mithya. Waker, dreamer, deep sleeper are mithya. Then what is truth? Truth is this Advaita, this basically, Turiya is Advaita, is non-dual. And therefore Chaturtham Manyante, etc. We'll see that also. If you say Advaita, non-dual, then why you call fourth? When you say fourth, you have counted three, already Dvaitam, and this is fourth. So it's all Advaitam actually. And you say Advaitam and also Chaturtham? Yeah, this is what it is. So if you basically, if you count the three, then we have to say fourth. But really speaking, all that is, there is one Turiya. And therefore it is, because all, why, when you count three, you say fourth. And now you say don't count. Yeah, that's what I said. Experientially you count three. Therefore this is fourth, distinct from this. But really speaking, factually, if you try to see, you analyze each one of them, you find only Turiya is that. Therefore all that is there is one Advaita, Turiya. If you count three, right, three roles of a one, actor. If you count, well, three, we have to say actor is fourth, distinct from all the three roles. But if you look into every role, you find there is only this actor alone is there. then therefore it is all Advaita. So this is how it is. Factually it is not there. Experientially three are there, therefore we say this is that actor is the fourth, which is distinct from three. So based on its mithyatvam, well, we can say Advaitam. So Sarva Bhavanam, Bhavam is this, waker, dreamer, etc. Sarva Bhavanam, mithyatva, Advaita. Deva, self-effulgent, self-revealing. Nobody reveals it. It reveals everything, or everything is revealed to it. Right now, this Swami is revealed to you, means you are self-revealing. Everything is revealed. The space, time, all objects, everything is revealed to you. If everything is revealed, they cannot reveal themselves and yet they are revealed, then therefore there must be a revealer. And that revealer is self-revealing. And therefore it's self-illumining. So therefore it is Deva. Dyotanat Deva. Bhashkara is going to explain. So Deva, Turiya, Vibhu, Smritaha, etc. So let's go to Bhashyam. And this kind of magic, etc., Bhagavan said even in Bhagavad Gita also, if you remember, Masthani Sarva Bhutani, Nacha Masthani Bhutani, right? So looks very contradictory. It is there and it is not there. And so this is how it is. Sadasadhyam Nirvachaniyam has been said there also. Masthani Sarva Bhutani, Nachaham Teshu Vastita, Nacha Masthani Bhutani, etc., etc. Let's read Bhashyam. That's the fourth line on page 54 in Bhashyam. Pragnya Taijasa Vishwa Lakshananam Sarva Dukkhanam Nivrittehe Ishanaha Turiyaha Atma Ishanaha Ityasya Padasya Vyakhyanam Prabhuhu Iti Dukkha Nivrittim Prati Prabhuhu Bhavati Ityarthaha Tad Vijnana Nimittvatvat Dukkha Nivrittehe. So, Turiyaha Atma Ishanaha Bhavati. We have to start like that. You will see in that first sentence the word Turiya Atma at the end, right? So you pick up that word and start. That's a subject. Turiyaha Atma. And what it is, well, Turiya Atma Ishanaha. That is another word. Turiyaha Atma Ishanaha Bhavati. Turiya Atma is a subject. Ishanaha is a predicate. So Turiyaha Atma Ishana. So predicate is predicate means what you want to know about. So Turiyaha Atma. Okay, that we know. Turiya Atma. But that is Turiya Atma is what? Ishana. So Turiya Atma, the subject we call as the Uddeshya, which has been stated. And Ishanaha, which you have to know about. What is to be known is called Vidheya. What is known already is Uddeshya. So, Turiha Atma is a Uddeshya and Ishanaha is a Vidheya. Like Ramaha Bhavati. Rama. Oh, we know Rama. Ramaha Veeraha Bhavati. Oh, good. So, Veeraha you have to know. What is to be known is Vidheya, called Veeraha. Rama is called Uddeshya, what you already know. So Turiyatma you know now. But Turiyatma is what? Ishana, is a master, is independent. It lends existence to all the three, right? Waker, dreamer and deep sleeper. They cannot be independently existent. Whereas this is independently existing and therefore it is a master. So anyway, so this Turiyatma Ishanaha. Why it is a Ishanaha or why it is Lord? Here it Hetu is given Sarva Dukkhanam Nivrittehe because it is free from all the pains. So this is a being free from all pains. Turiyam is called master. Means Turiya is a Swami and one who knows Turiya, well definitely he is also called Swami. He makes the person, the samsari as a Swami. That's what it is. He makes samsari as a Swami. How a samsari becomes Swami? Well, samsari knows Turiya. So by knowing Turiya, samsari becomes Swami? Yeah. Why? Because Turiya is a Swami. So since Turiya is a Swami, one who knows Turiya also becomes Swami. That's how it is. You can, if you want to use another word, master instead, you can say Swami. Okay. And that is how everywhere this is Tarati Shokam Atmavit. Remember? Right? So this Narada, knowing everything, and if any visa is denied, you will have a pain. He has all, he can go to any world. He has a multiple visa, what we don't know what is called. He can go to even in Vaikuntha and he can enter into Lord's palace also. No one can stop him anywhere. Such a Narada. And not only that, he is a full guy. He knows all the things. And he gives a big list to Sanat Kumara, right? He is a knower of everything. He can move anywhere. He is all the time in association with the Lord. Well, and yet, well, Shokam, right? So, Soham, Narada, he says something. So, I am such a Narada who knows everything and who can move in any world at any time. Need not have to even literally physical travel kind of a thing. I can go anywhere within no time. So much of siddhis, accomplishments, and so much of knowledge, my God. Sahanarada. Well, I'm shochami. I'm grieving. Tarati shokam atmavit. Knowing this turiya atma, shokam tarati, he will cross over the ocean of grief, ocean of fear and everything. So that's how turiya is basically free from all the pain. Sarva dukkhanam nivrutti. And that's how we see Vishwa Tejasa when they are resolved, right? That's how, if you remember in a fifth mantra, rather than sixth mantra, fifth mantra described the prajna. And then sixth mantra described Ishvara, right? And there it is said this prajna and Ishvara are one alone. Means when this Vishwa Tejasa resolve, it resolves into Ishvara. That's how there is a joy. So, there is no individuality. There is no individuality at all. All that is there is one unmanifest world with a basis of Brahman, right? Which is Sakshi. All that is there in a deep sleep state is Ishvara. That's true. Because in an unmanifest state, there cannot be a division between an individual and total. The division between what you experience, a division between you, the individual, and the world, that is the waking state, that is the dream state. In a deep sleep state, where is this Vyashti Samashti Bheda? There is no Vyashti Samashti Bheda. All that is there is just one unmanifest thing with a basis of consciousness. That's what you experience, right? You experience what? Unmanifest. Just one blank. It's not, oh, I'm experiencing Karana Sharira and I'm also experiencing Maya. Nothing of that sort. You cannot experience. All there is one, what you experience is one blank state, ignorance. That's it. Nothing else. And therefore, there is no individuality at all. So prajna definitely resolves into Ishvara. So that's how it has been compared also there. Pain starts in a waking state. As you wake up, you become an experience of the waking world which is different from you. You are the waker, etc., identifying you, etc. So all that is, there is a pain. And in dream also that way little pain. Prajna has a potential pain. Swamiji, prajna also, sarva dukkhanam, here it is sarva bhavanam. So we have to consider prajna also, Swami. Yeah, potential pain. Right? Potential pain. You go to sleep. Before that there was a lot of pain, emotional pain mostly. And suppose by Bhagavan's Kripa, you get a sleep. So now all the pain which were there, right, before you go to sleep, are there in a potential state. How can you say they are there in potential? They have gone. No, as you wake up, you the same pain rise again. So therefore we have to say it's a potential pain. Anyway, so all these three are pain. cause of pain. And so all the three states, or all, let's say the bhava, we can say waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, are associated with the pain. Therefore, they are the adhara of the pain, let's say. Therefore, they are called pain. Okay, so sarva dukkhanam, Swamiji, waker is not a dukkha. Waker is the basis for dukkha. Taking oneself as a waker becomes the basis for dukkha. Therefore, it is wrong. Sarva dukkhanam should not be said. Sarva dukkha adharanam. Here it is, because here that Anandgiri explains that dukkha adharatvat dukkham uchyate. It's a dukkha adhara. If that your conclusion about yourself is the basis of pain. Could you follow? Your conclusion about yourself is the basis of pain. Therefore, I am, as Puja Swami says, what is that? I am the problem, I am the solution. That is the thing. Yeah, you cannot pinpoint at anything. Because all the same world is there, right? Same world is there, etc. When that resolves, that Vyashti Samashti Bheda resolves, there is no pain at all. Anyway, so Turiyam is a Prabhu basically. Turiyam is free from pain. And so now this Ishanaha and Prabhu, actually they looks like same. Prabhu also means a master, Ishana also means a master. So, but Karika says, and Karika says means Bhashyakara has to justify. It is a Parama Guru. So, Bhashyakara nicely explained that. So, Ishanaha ityasya padasya vyakhyanam Prabhu. Don't think that Ishana and Prabhu are different. Ishana ityasya padasya, the word Ishanaha is there in Karika. So you take it, Vyakhyanam, Padasya, that Padasya Vyakhyanam. That word Ishanaha means its meaning is Prabhu. Ishanaha is equal to Prabhu. You take it that way. Or, look at that. No, we cannot take, because it's a repetition. And Karikakara has repeated Ishanaha Prabhu. And you also say Ishanaha is equal to Prabhu. Then what is that? You cannot repeat like that. Then Bhashyakara says, don't worry, I will give you another meaning. Dukkham nivrutti prati prabhavati ityartha. So basically, dukkham nivrutti prati prabhavati. With regard to the elimination of the sorrow, Turiya is a cause. So dukkha nivrittim prati prabhavati. Prabhavati means basically with regard, Turiya is a capable. Dukkha nivrittim prati prabhavati. So this Turiya is a capable of removing, eliminating, dukkha nivrittim, eliminating the sorrow from this jiva, from this human being. So therefore it is called Prabhu. Right? Pra plus bhu dhatu is there. Pra plus bhu dhatu. From there only Prabhavati, and Prabhavati iti Prabhu. So pra plus bhu dhatu, Prabhavati means what is the meaning? To be capable of. Bhu means to be. But pra plus bhu is equal to be capable of. So therefore Prabhavati iti Prabhu means, Prabhu means who is capable of. Capable of what? Dukkha nivrittim. So it's capable of removing the sorrow from the jiva. Which jiva? The jiva who is enlightened, who knows oneself as Turiya. And therefore Turiya is called Prabhu. And how do you say so, that Turiya is capable of? Bhashyakara says, Tad vijnana nimittatvat dukkha nivrittehe. Tad vijnana nimittatvat dukkha nivrittehe. So, when the Turiyam is not known, the unknown Turiyam is the cause of samsara. Right? And like the unknown rope becomes the cause of the problem, cause of the fear. Like unknown thing can never becomes a cause of sorrow. That's true. When you don't know yourself, when you don't know the world, there is no problem at all. Where is the problem? That's a deep sleep state. Yeah. But basically, when you don't know the rope, unknown rope also becomes a snake. And therefore, definitely, then you take it as a snake. You don't say that I don't know rope. You say there is snake, right? And therefore, so for you there is snake only. In fact, you don't never know that there is a rope, right? So therefore, you never say that I don't know rope. If you say that I don't know rope, means you know actually that there is a rope and there is a ignorance of it. That is the later part. Once you realize that there is no snake at all, means you have known the rope, then there is, then you can say. Otherwise you cannot say. For you there is snake. That's it. That's a reality for you. And then it will be fearful because it's a real snake for you. So that's how here it says tad vijnana nimittatvat. Tad means here this turiya or Brahman or whatever. So the turiya is better because tad word is there. So tad vijnana, turiya vijnana nimittatvat. If you know this turiya as the self, then turiya itself is free from problem, and that turiya, if it is known, knownness of the turiya makes one free from the problem. And therefore turiya is called, we can say turiya is capable of dukkha nivritti. Therefore turiya is called prabhuhu. Turiya is a master, but turiya is a master. What will you give? Why it is called master? Independent. It's independent. It pervades all the three. That's how very beautiful example is there in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. That is, it's like a snake, a huge fish, not snake, I'm sorry, a huge fish, which goes from one shore to the other shore in a ocean, like a shark or a whale or something. Well, independently, without getting affected by any attributes on the shore. Sometimes it remains in middle, sometimes it goes on one shore, sometimes goes on the other shore. Exactly like this. Turiya, well, definitely remains in middle. What is that middle? Middle is this deep sleep, dream state. And one shore is what? And that is waking state. And the opposite shore is what? Deep sleep state. In between is what? Dream state. It just moves. Without that, no state is possible. Not an experiencer of that state, particular state is possible. All that is there is in Turiya. And so Turiya pervades all the three. Moves from waking state to dream state to deep sleep state to again waking state. Keeps moving. As though moving. Not don't think that moving. Turiya cannot move. It's limitless consciousness. Sakshi is Brahman, and therefore it doesn't move, but we can say like that. It moves. Remain unaffected. Remain in middle, unaffected. Goes to one shore, near the shore, unaffected by the properties of the shore, of either of the side. Therefore, Turiya is a master, independent. No state is independently possible. They are all dependent on this Turiya. Turiya is independent. Therefore, Prabhuhu and Ishanaha, both, Bhashakara has justified both the words of Karika. So, Turiya is capable of removing samsara. Dukkha means samsara, when it is known. So, Turiya becomes a nimitta, that vijnana nimitta. Turiya, knowledge of the Turiya becomes a nimitta, cause. Then further, what is the word? Avyayaha. You can see in the first line, Avyayaha. That Bhashakara defines. Avyayaha na vyeti swarupat na vyabhicharati iti yavat. And etat kutaha yasmat advaitaha sarvabhavana rajju sarpavat nrushatvat saha eshaha devaha dyotanat turiyaha chaturthaha vibhuhu vyapi smrutaha. So next description of Turiya is what? After Ishanaha, Prabhuhu, etc. Well, Avyayaha. Turiya is Avyaya. Avyaya means non-changing, non-decaying. Na vyeti iti Avyayaha. Apakshaya rahitaha. If you remember, there were 6 states, right? So, in the verse, Jayate asti vardhate viparinamati apakshiyate. Apakshaya, decay, etc. It's free from decay. If it is free from decay, well, it is definitely free from any other vikara also, because it is not available for any vikara. Nothing affects. Always a given thing is undergoes a change because something other than that affects that thing. Like a fruit, right? If you buy certain fruits and it undergoes change, either it ripes, either it, decays, right? Then we say due to fungus or due to high temperature, due to this, etc., etc. So there must be some factor other than that fruit which affects the fruit. So fruit undergoes change, decays, etc. What is the other thing which decays? Turiya. What is the other thing which decays? Turiya? There is no other thing. It's going to say Advaita. It is coming. So Turiyam never changes from being Turiya. It's a Sapna. It is a Sarupa. Therefore, its nature never undergoes a change. That is his nature. But because of ignorance, Turiya appears as itself appears as a Vishvataisa Prajna. They undergo change. They come, go, and even during one state, this Vishwa, etc., undergoes change. Dreamer, the seer, hearer, etc. In a dream also, when it is experiencing a dream world, it undergoes a change as a dreamer. That is what is affected. Therefore, a dreamer definitely undergoes either a change in terms of even becoming happy, seeing some dream object, or becoming fearful, seeing a dream tiger, etc. It undergoes change. So, really speaking, Turiya, which appears as a Prajna, Vishvata is a Prajna, so they undergo change. But Swamiji, what change this deep sleeper undergo? Deep sleeper do not remain deep sleeper, becomes waker also. So therefore, definitely unmanifest become manifest. And therefore, it is a change. Other changes we cannot experience in unmanifest. Let's say there is no other change. But that's also time bound. So becomes unmanifest, becomes manifest. And then waker, dreamer, of course, undergoes change. And therefore, definitely, the Turiya does not undergo change. So Turiya basically alone manifests as a Vishva Prajna, but Turiya becomes Vishwa and Tejasa. It becomes without undergoing a change. That's how we say Vivartopadana, etc. Without becoming. Like rope. Without undergoing any change becomes snake. Same way. So Swarupat na veti, Bhashakara said. Swarupat, it does not undergo any change from its Swarupa called Turiya, even though it appears as a changing ahankara, changing bhava. That's how even in a Sanskrit grammar, word avyaya you must have heard of. Avyaya is we call indeclinables, and they define. There is a Karika there in a grammar defining avyaya. And what is that? Sadrusham trishu lingeshu sarvasu cha vibhaktisu vachaneshu cha sarveshu yan na vyeti tad avyayam. Same thing. Na vyeti iti avyaya. So, avyaya means which does not have any gender. No masculine gender, no feminine gender, no. And that's how you, like the word namaha, right? We call them, grammatically word namaha means salutation. We call it as a avyaya. It's not a masculine, it's not a feminine, it's not, it doesn't undergo change. You can attach it to a masculine word. It doesn't undergo any change. You can attach it to a feminine word. Doesn't undergo change. Namaha governs a fourth case. Therefore, Vishwaya Namaha or Vishnave Namaha. Vishnu, Pullinga word, right? So, Vishnave Namaha. Now, Namaha can go along with feminine word also. Devyai Namaha. Devi, feminine word. Devyai Namaha. Namaha doesn't become Namaha or something. Namaha remains Namaha. with a neuter word also we can say Brahmane Namaha. Brahman, neuter word, let's take. Sachidanand Brahmane Namaha. So then with a neutral word also it remains Namaha. Doesn't become Namam, nothing. Namaha remains Namaha even though it is attached to a masculine feminine gender. So therefore it is Avyaya. Anyway. And Sarvasucha Vibhaktishu etc. Also, Vibhakti also, any with any Vibhakti. In this Vyaya, the indeclinable word can go but doesn't undergo any change. Vachaneshu sarveshu. With a singular word also, right? So, or with a dual or with a plural also, Namaha remains Namaha. I am just giving example. Word Namaha is an example for indeclinable word. There are many. So number wise no change, gender wise no change, declension wise no change. So this word is called Avyaya. Turiyam is also Avyaya. Turiya is Avyaya. This waker identifying with a waking body, maybe a male body, right? And then identifying with a female body or identifying with some object which we generally denote maybe in a neuter. All the forms. Those forms, either you may say masculine, feminine or a neuter word. So basically it manifests in all the forms. Here we are talking about waker, etc. So then waker will say I am a male or female, etc. But the Turiya, which is the essence of those waker, etc., which pervades them, which is the truth of this waker, is free from any gender. Yeah. Turiya pervades everything. So it's Avyayam because it doesn't undergo any change. So Turiya word is declinable. Please understand it is a, this Turiyam is a neutral word. And that undergoes change. Turiyam, sometimes they write even in, like, you will find a masculine word. Turiyaha is equal to Turiyaha. So Turiyaha, Turiyam, etc. So Turiyaha Atma, Turiyam Brahma. Could you follow? We can put it like that. Turiyam Brahma. Brahman is which is Turiyam, which is distinct from all the three states, etc. So that is possible. Turiyam Brahma, Turiya Chitihi. But Chitihi is there. In Lalita Sahasranama it is there. Chitis Tatpada Lakshartha Chidekara Sarupini. So Chitihi. And then Turiyam Chaitanyam, Turiya Chitihi, Turiyaha Atma. That's fine. It's a word, please understand. But the meaning of the word Turiya is basically free from any gender or anything. It's a Navyeti because it doesn't undergo any change. Like the rope doesn't undergo any change when it appears as a snake. Right? Navyabhicharati iti yavat Bhashakara says. Navyabhicharati. So consciousness basically, the Turiya doesn't undergo any change. Iti yavat means what? Iti uktam. This is what has been said. And why it doesn't undergo any change? Because Advaita, it is non-dual. So, yasmad advaitaha tasmad avyayam. Why? Any non-dual thing means it doesn't undergo any change. Yeah. And what is the connection between non-dual and changing, non-changing, etc.? Non-dual thing is non-changing. Yeah. What is the connection? Well, I told you already. Change means definitely caused by. Anything undergoes change means caused by some external factor or different factor other than that thing which undergoes a change. There must be a factor which brings a change into a given thing, which is different from that. Even body, right? Body is subject to death. Change, right? Jayate asti vardate viparinamate apakshiyate vinashyati. Body undergoes a change, body also subject to death. Why? Because there is a external factor different from body which brings a change to the body. What is that? Time, prarabdha, anything you can say. Prarabdha, right? Therefore, some external factor can cause change. What is the external factor or a distinct factor which can bring a change in Turiya? Different factor, different from Turiya, which can bring change to Turiya? No. All that is there is one consciousness, Turiya. Therefore, there is no external factor. Since there is Advaita, therefore, non-changing. So, Vyaya Karanasya Abhavat. There is no Karana, there is no Nimitta which can bring a change. Because all that is there is non-dual Brahman. That's how we say. I think we discussed last time. So even to say just two things, that Atma and Anatma, those words are for the sake of Ajnanis. Really speaking, for the sake of Ajnanis, Viveka, etc. and all that. For the sake of Ajnani, all that is there is, once you gain Jnanam, you say all that is there is one Brahman, one Ishvara, one Atma, all that is there is me alone, something like that, right? And therefore you don't count a second thing. That's called Dvaitam. Dvaitam means Dvidha Itam, which has become second. Advaitam means what? Which has not become second. Second. That's called Advaita. So definitely it appears like a same, one Advaita Rajju, one non-dual rope appears as a snake, streak of water. Bhashyakara gave this example before, streak of water or a crack in earth or garland or something. So yasmad advaitah sarva bhavanam rajju sarpavat mrishatvat eshaha devaha etc. etc. So now one more thing we can resolve here, and that is, a seeming contradiction is that Turiya is a non-dual, that is one thing. But if you remember the mantra, that is said Shantam Shivam Advaitam Chaturtham. Now Advaitam in the Moolam, in the mantra itself. So Advaitam is also said and Chaturtham also is said. Not in a Karika but in Moolam. So since we have discussed what Advaitam, we can even cover this also. So there two words have been written simultaneously. Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam, Chaturtham. Now Advaitam and Chaturtham cannot go together. Once you say fourth, means you have count three which are different from this. Therefore Dvaitam it should be. Instead both the words are put simultaneously. Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam, Chaturtham. Manyante sa Atma, etc. So if Turiya is this non-dual, how can it be fourth? Well, and that's what answer, of course, I told you. Since Vishvataijasa Prajna are Mithya, you can choose to count Vishvataijasa Prajna based on your experience, because that are experienceable. So you can say Vishvataijasa Prajna, waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, and Turiya, fourth. That you can say, because you experience three based on your experiences. So you can choose to count them based on experiences. You can choose not to count them because you found that waker is none other than Turiya. Dreamer is none other than Turiya. Deep sleeper is none other than Turiya. Therefore it is Advaitam. You cannot count now fourth. Therefore Advaitam. So if you count your experiences, they are experienceable. Ahankaras are experienceable. Right? Waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. My waker I am right now a waker, and when you sleep you know that you are not a waker, so it's a really object of your experience that they come and go. Anyway, since they are experienceable, well, you count 1, 2, 3. Turiya is fourth, distinct from these three, no problem. But once you analyze, you find that all these are just one Turiya alone, therefore Advaitam, not fourth. non-dual. Like, in the world, you can talk both the ways. Sky is blue. Wrong statement. It's not wrong. Don't say wrong. Because that's the experience of everyone. So you say, from counting the experience, you can say sky is blue. And understanding the science and analyzing the blue sky, you find sky is not blue. So, either way, when you count experience, you can say one way. If you don't count experience, but what's the reality? Reality is understanding experience, the truth of experience. That's a reality only. But since it is available for experience of everyone, for the entire humanity, well, we can say sky is blue. Same way, waker, dreamer, deep sleeper are experienceable. Everyone talks about it. It doesn't require a big deal of, you need not be a Harvard graduate to say, I am a waker, etc. Or they are experienced. It's everyone's experience, common experience. So counting the three, well, Turiya is distinct from these three, well, we can say Chaturtha. And ultimately, if you analyze them, try to know the truth of the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, you find it's all just Turiya alone, and therefore it is Advaitam, non-dual. So, that's what Bhashyakara says here, Sarva Bhavanam Mrishatvat. So, Yasmad Advaitah, why? Sarva Bhavanam Rajju Sarpavat Mrishatvat. Therefore, Advaita, Sarva Bhavanam. Bhavanam means all this Vaker, etc. Mrishatvat, Mithyatvat. Sarva Bhava means this Vishwata is a prajna, they are Mithya, and therefore there is Advaita alone. So, Devaha, Bhashyakara explains, Devaha word of the Karika Kara, Bhashyakara explains, Dyotanat Devaha, Turiya is a Deva. Not because it is just one of the celestial, etc. But Deva, as it's an etymological meaning you have to take, and we call yogic artha. Dyotanat. Div makes word Deva. Div means to illumine, etc. So to reveal, to illumine. So Dyotanat, from the word Dyotanam also has come from that. So Divyati iti Devaha, one who is a self-revealing, is a one who is self-illumining, is a one who shines, one who are shining, one who is shining is a Deva. So that all that is there is Swamiji, all experiences, all space is shining, this is shining, everything is shining. Shining means don't think it's just some, because it is available for experience, objectification, etc. Available for knowledge. That's only one source for knowledge, for experience, for objectification. Only one source, and that is Atma, consciousness. Without that, it is not possible. Therefore, Turiya is a Deva, self-revealing. And that Turiya is revealed because Turiya is revealed. Turiya doesn't need a vritti, doesn't need a mind. Turiya doesn't need eyes. Turiya doesn't need ears. Turiya doesn't need nose to illumine. Therefore, Turiya basically, we have seen that, not available for Pratyaksha, etc. Yet Turiya, because of Turiya only, Pratyaksha, Pramana, etc., all these Pramanas are possible. Their Pramanas are functioning because of the Chakshusha, Chakshu, etc., you know. Anyway, so Turiya, Eshaha Devaha Dyotanat Turiya, Chaturtha. Now we need not have to discuss that, Chaturtha. Then Bhashyakara says Vibhuhu. Next word is a Vibhuhu. Vibhuhu means, Vibhuhu is word is in Karika Kara, from the Karika. And Bhashyakara explains it, Vyapi means all pervading. All pervading means all pervading. All pervading means what, Swamiji? But all pervading means some kind of a covering, everything. All the things are there inside and this is covering. All pervading means basically in and out, everything, okay? Right? In and out. All. Like we always give an example of any example you can take, and that is a water pervades a wave, etc. Just name forms are no content. The content is this. So Sarva Dukkhanam, so Karikakara, what is a Karika? Sarva Dukkhanam Nivrittehe Turyaha Devaha Ishanaha Prabhuhu Avyayaha Bhavati. First line. Then Sarva Bhavanam, next line. Sarva Bhavanam, supply. Mithyatvad Saha Atma or Turiyaha Tat Turiyaha or Saha Turiyaha Advaitaha Vibhuhu Smrutaha. So, Smrutaha means this is said. Smrutaha means what? This is said in the Shastra. Pasha Karikakara has covered everything. Sarva Dukkhanam Nivrittehe, that word has covered Nanta Prajnam, Na Bahish Prajnam, Na Ubhayata Prajnam, Na Prajnam, Na Prajnam, etc., all this, And further, what was said, Adrishtam Avyavaram, Agrahyam Alakshanam, Agrahyam Alakshanam, Avyavaryam, etc., Alakshanam, Achintyam, Prapanchopashamam, all up to this has been covered. Sarva Dukkhanam Nivrittehe Turiyaha. Everything is covered. Then Shantam Shivam Advaitam Chaturtham, that has been very well said. Advaitam Sarva Bhavanam Mithyatvat Vibhuhu, etc. So this is how in a one Karika he explained the entire seventh mantra. Let's see the introduction of Karika 11. Vishwadinam Samanya Vishesha Bhavaha Nirupyate Turyaha Yathatmya Avadharanartham. So, now in this 11th Karika, Gaudapadacharya ji makes an interesting analysis, which is, not in the Upanishad itself, not in the mantra itself. He himself voluntarily presents it. And that is a unique to this Gaudapadacharya ji. Those words are also very unique, and the whole concept is very unique, which is not there in the seven mantras, what we saw. In the Upanishad it is not there. And that particular presentation is called Comparing and Contrasting, the fourth pada, Turiya. Comparing means you mention the certain common features, and contrasting means you mention uncommon features. That's it. So compare and contrast study of what? Fourth pada, Chaturtha pada, Turiya. And this kind of a method is employed in a Tarka Shastra. And that is, they employ for clarity of understanding. Compare, contrast study. And in Tarka Shastra, of course, they don't say Samanya Vishesha. Here we find the word in a introduction of the 11th Karika, we have word, the Bhashyakara has used Samanya Vishesha Bhava. But method belongs to really Tarka Shastra. In Tarka Shastra, they use another word. For Samanya Vishesha, they use Sadharmya Vaidharmya. Sadharmya means say common dharma, common features. And Vaidharmya means say uncommon features, Viruddha dharma. So Sadharmya Vaidharmya Vicharaha Nirupyate is presented here. Here Bhashyakara says Samanya Vishesha Bhavaha Nirupyate. Of what? Vishwadinam Chaturnam Padanam. So Vishwadinam Chaturnam Padanam. For the fourth pada of the Atma, well, for the clarity of understanding of this fourth pada, this particular method has been employed here, which is basically there in Tarka Shastra, but has been employed by Gaudapadacharya ji. In what? In 11th Karika. So, Turiya Yathatmya Avadharanartham, see, Bhashyakara says, Turiya Yathatmya Avadharanartham. Turiya means Turiya. Turiya Yathatmya. Yathatmya means a Sarupam. Yatha Atma. Yatha Atma. Just as the nature of a given thing is, well, when you state it's called Yathatma. Tasya Bhavaha Yathatmyam. The status of being one's nature. That's it. Yathatmyam. means Swarupa, nature. So, Turiya Yathatmyam, so Turiya Swarupa. Avadharanartham, for ascertaining the real nature of the Turiya, well, there is this method of this Sadharma Vaidharma, method of this Samanya Vishesha Bhava has been employed by a Karikakara in 11th Karika. But why to ascertain the real nature of this Turiya, etc.? Well, if you understand Turiya, which is distinct from samsara, free from samsara, sarva dukkhanam nivrittehe, and if you know that Turiya as the very self, you become free from samsara. Therefore, we have to ascertain, because the Turiya Jnanam alone makes you free from samsara, we have to ascertain the real nature of Turiya first. Then, ascertaining the nature, and well, definitely you know the Turiya as it is, and then you become also free from samsara. So avadharanartham, for ascertaining the nature, well, for the clarity in the knowing the self, knowing the Turiya, this Karika is introduced by Karikakara, 11th Karika. So just let's read it. कार्यकारणबद्धौ तौ इष्येते विश्वतैजसौ प्राज्ञः कारणबद्धस्तु द्वौ तौ तुर्येण सिद्ध्यतः. So this is a Karika. We will see that in the next, on the Wednesday. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.